Our journey begins in the 5th century AD, a time of great migrations and upheaval. The Roman Empire had recently withdrawn from Britain, leaving the land open to new influences and settlers. It was during this period that the Anglo-Saxons, a collection of tribes from what are now Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands, began to make their way across the North Sea to the British Isles. The Anglo-Saxons were not a single unified group, but rather a mix of peoples, including the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. Each brought with them their own dialects, which would eventually blend and evolve to form what we now call Old English. As these tribes settled in different parts of Britain, they established small kingdoms and began to cultivate the land, building villages and fortifications. Their language, heavily influenced by their Germanic roots, started to take hold, replacing the Latin that had been prevalent under Roman rule and the Celtic languages spoken by the native Britons. Here's a glimpse of what Old English looked like. The story of Old English doesn't end there. In the 8th and 9th centuries, Viking invasions brought Old Norse into the mix. Words like sky, egg, and window entered the English lexicon. In the 8th and 9th centuries, the British Isles faced a new wave of invaders, the Vikings. These formidable seafarers from Scandinavia arrived in their iconic long ships, sleek and swift vessels capable of traversing both open seas and narrow rivers. The Vikings were not just raiders, they were also settlers, traders, and explorers, leaving a lasting impact on the regions they touched. With the Viking invasions came Old Norse, the language of these Norsemen. This powerful linguistic influence began to interweave with the existing Old English, creating a rich tapestry of language that would shape the future of English. Many Old Norse words entered the English lexicon, enriching it and reflecting the cultural exchanges of the time. Middle English, 1150–1500 AD. The Middle English period, beginning around 1150 AD. This era was profoundly shaped by the Norman conquest of 1066, a pivotal event that drastically altered the course of the English language. When William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy, defeated King Harold at the Battle of Hastings, he and his Norman followers brought with them the Old Norman language, a variety of Old French. The Normans established themselves as the ruling class in England, and Old Norman quickly became the language of the court, law, administration, and the elite. Latin remained the language of the church and scholarly works, but the common people continued to speak English. Over time, these linguistic streams began to merge. The influence of Old Norman on English was profound. Thousands of French words entered the English vocabulary, particularly in areas related to governance, law, art, literature, religion, and other aspects of high culture. Words such as court, justice, jury, government, council, parliament, castle, duke, baron, clergy, and sermon all have Norman roots. Grammatically, Middle English saw significant changes as well. The complex inflectional system of Old English began to simplify. Many grammatical gender distinctions and case endings were lost, leading to a more fixed word. One of the most famous is Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, written in the late 14th century. Chaucer's use of the East Midland dialect of Middle English helped to standardize and promote this form of the language. His vivid characters and engaging storytelling not only provide insight into medieval life, but also showcase the richness and flexibility of Middle English. Middle English was not uniform, however. Regional dialects varied significantly, with notable differences in vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar across England. This linguistic diversity is evident in various surviving texts from different parts of the country. Early Modern English, 1500–1700 AD. The transition to Early Modern English began around 1500 AD, a period marked by significant cultural and technological changes that profoundly shaped the English language. Two major factors that contributed to this transformation were the Renaissance and the invention of the printing press. One of the most influential cultural movements was the Renaissance, which began in Italy in the 14th century and spread across Europe. This era brought a renewed interest in the classical knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome, alongside advancements in science, art, and literature. Scholars and intellectuals sought to rediscover and reinterpret ancient texts, leading to an influx of Latin and Greek words into English. Terms like encyclopedia, philosophy, drama, and theory were borrowed directly from these classical languages, enriching the English lexicon. Another pivotal development was the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in the mid-15th century and its introduction to England by William Caxton in 1476. The printing press revolutionized the production of books, making literature more accessible and affordable. It also played a crucial role in standardizing English. This period saw the gradual standardization of spelling and grammar, moving towards the forms we recognize today. The works of William Shakespeare, often considered the greatest writer in the English language, exemplify the richness and flexibility of early modern English. Shakespeare's plays and sonnets not only contributed a wealth of vocabulary, many of his coined words are still in use today, but also demonstrated the expressive power of English. His works reflect the dynamic nature of the language, incorporating elements of both its medieval past and its modern potential. The King James Bible, published in 1611, also had a profound impact on the English language. Its translation was intended to be accessible to the general public, and its widespread use helped to further standardize English. The phrasing and vocabulary of the King James Bible have left a lasting legacy, with many of its expressions still in common use. During this period, English began to spread beyond England's shores, carried by explorers, traders, and colonists. As the British Empire expanded, English encountered and absorbed influences from many other languages and cultures, laying the groundwork for its future global dominance. The early modern English period was one of remarkable growth and transformation. Influenced by the Renaissance, propelled by the advent of the printing press, English evolved into a more standardized and widely accessible language. This era set the stage for the English language's role as a major world language, leading into the modern age with a rich legacy of literature and an expanded vocabulary. Contemporary English. Today, English is a global lingua franca, spoken by over 1.5 billion people worldwide. It continues to evolve with influences from technology, social media, and global communication. The digital age has accelerated the creation and dissemination of new words and phrases, making English a highly dynamic and adaptive language. In summary, the history of the English language reflects a series of invasions, cultural shifts, and technological advancements that have shaped it into the rich and diverse language we know today.